It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast, bringing you a recap of the 2025 Ryder Cup and this week's Sanderson Farms Championship. Almost forgot what tournament it was because I'm so excited to chat about the Ryder Cup with the one, the only, everybody's favorite Korean American, Kenny Kim.
Yeah, definitely not excited to talk about the Ryder Cup. But we will. We will. Not the best outcome for me, but at least the Sunday was sort of fun.
Yeah, it was weird. I was sitting in the garage, and then you just said, "I'm laying the hammer on the boys, on the Americans," and I hadn't quite made up my mind. And late on Wednesday night, I kind of just pulled the trigger on the Euros. I just felt like I was leaning that way the whole time, and that was where my gut was. But I also cashed in a 10-1 Tommy Fleetwood single bullet top point scorer, and I ran pure with that bad boy. Also took down a big first round, that Colin Morikawa matchup with Tommy Fleetwood and Rory McIlroy was a smash play. They opened that lineup at -120, Kenny. Like Rory and Fleetwood versus Harris English and Colin Morikawa. And that was like as little of a sweat as it possibly could have been. You know, it was like a perfect smash play. So
yeah, I had the Cam Young top American point scorer. I only had Cam and Cantlay. So that was nice. I really wish it wasn't chopped by Xander, but that saved the week. It gave me a non-losing week. I mean, I lost 1 unit. So I bet 10 units on the Americans. So that wasn't great. I would have to say, just looking back at the event, I don't know if we'll see something like that again. When it comes to the first couple of days in the European play. Because the thing is, like, you know, in all honesty, the Americans didn't play horrible the first couple of days. They weren't bad. It's just the Europeans were like some of the best golf I've witnessed live, like just watching golf. Like I can't remember so many good shots by the Americans, one up by the Europeans. Like the Americans were hitting one within 15 feet. Great shot. Really good birdie opportunity. And the Euros over and over again, the first 2 days would go over top of the Americans and landed 8 feet, 7 feet. I mean, you saw it with like 6 foot. I mean, the Americans would hit it to like 5 feet. Amazing wedge. And then the Europeans would hit it inside every time. Like Saturday night, I spent the whole night trying to figure out like who to blame, right? I mean, because it was embarrassing, like what was happening at that point in time. And so, you know, your first thought goes to leadership, right? It goes to Keegan, it goes to leadership, and they made mistakes, right? I mean, he even admitted the way the course was set up was probably was a mistake. You know, the pairings probably weren't the way. I mean, sending those two guys out, Harris English and Morikawa out twice, just it ended up being actually a more of a big deal than I thought it would be. You know, we were losing by so much. I was like, whatever. Like, you know, who cares? Throw them out there. But what ended up happening on Sunday sort of flipped the script on everything. You know, and so you blame them, you blame the lack of analytics because I mean, Data Golf has that pairing as the 132nd ranked out of 132 possible pairings for the Americans and for the Europeans based upon all the possible pairings that could have come out. They were ranked 132 out of 132. Now, you know, setting the course up easy, you know, setting the greens up easy, you know, it sort of made a little bit of sense. I mean, when you think about it, because, you know, when it comes to putting, you know, 5 Americans are inside the top 20 in strokes gained putting for the year. Only 2 were in the top 20 for strokes gained putting. So, I mean, technically, based upon stats, I mean, the Americans had an advantage when it comes to the flat stick. Now, that doesn't take into account pressure, the moment, and stuff like that, which the Europeans obviously have a better foothold on when it comes down to it. But it's not like the Americans didn't make any putts at all. I mean, you know, in the grand scheme of things, based upon what I've seen in the last, you know, 40 years of watching the Ryder Cup, they made a fair amount of putts. it's just what the Europeans did at that point in time was crazy. So the next blame, you blame the players, right? You blame the United States players. You got, the best player in the world going 0-4 and 1-4, 0-4 up until the singles. Bryson didn't really do that well. Not too many other guys really stepped up when it came down to it outside of Cam Young. Sanders sort of was like a tag along a lot of the times when he was playing with like pretty
Gotta
good
be a
people.
good teammate.
Yeah, I mean,
Like he got it across the line.
But really, in all honesty, like the last thought I had is really the only people to blame are the European players, because the way they played, I can't think of something similar to that. Like just constantly making every putt, constantly one-upping the Americans. I don't really. I think the first 2 days, Keegan could have done anything. Keegan could have done anything. I don't think it would have changed any of the outcome. We would still be getting our asses whooped at that point in time if the Europeans just played the way they played. It was spectacular. It was unbelievable. It was something you don't see ever, especially with that much pressure and that much. The only thing I will say is the only times you ever see this are from other European teams, which is a shame. And, you think about it, and the Americans go out there, people are saying, they don't care as much. We saw that they care. I mean, we saw what happened on Sunday. Obviously, they care as much. Okay. They say they're not as close knit as a team. Their bond isn't as strong. Well, how do you calculate that? How do you quantify that? How do you measure that and add that to the team to try and make it better next time? You can't. I mean, like basically the only thing you quantify is how these guys have played. And what the Europeans did was masterful. It was unbelievable. I don't think it had anything to do with Luke Donald and shampoo or fucking cracks in light or anything like that. It's these guys came out and played a golf that we have not really ever seen before. That's what it took to beat the Americans handily. Because, I mean, you got to remember 4 years ago, the United States won like 19-11 or like 19-9. It was like the biggest ass whooping ever. And 7 of those golfers that played on that team were on this team. So are you saying Brooks Koepka, DJ, Homa, Finau, and Spieth are that big of a difference? No. What happened at this point in time was something that was unforeseen. The amount, how the Europeans played, I don't think we'll see again. I think it's one of the greatest performances, not just by a team, but individual players in that team, from Fleetwood to Rory to Rose, to Rahm to Hatton. What we saw from those top end guys was some of the best golf we'll ever witness in our lives. Basically, that's what it came down to.
High-end golf. Like, yeah, I mean, they were all playing their best golf. Literally,
it wasn't even their best golf. It was above their best golf.
Yeah, like
it was. We've seen their best golf. We've seen all of these guys' best golf, and that wasn't even close to what we saw these guys do this week. What they did was almost superhuman. It was almost superhuman what they did. And I don't think the Americans had a chance in any way possible. If Keegan did anything different, if anything like that, I don't think there was anything. If the Europeans came out and played like this, they would win every single time by a lot. They'll win every single time. And we saw, that they couldn't keep that level on Sunday, because that level is impossible to fucking keep.
Yeah, they burned bright.
And then once that level was not there anymore, the Americans whooped that ass. Right? I mean,
yes,
like, because to play at the level the Europeans played is not normal. It is not. It's not normal.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more, Kenny. They were playing it like it was awesome to watch, and
it was incredible.
What was so great about it was the ham and egging. Yeah,
it was
but it was as an entertainment product, it was incredible to watch. And Rosie just showed up when he needed to. Like, Tommy kind of took the front part of the second day's match with Rose, took that part off, like the front 9. I think Rose birdied 5 of the first 7 holes. Like, he's like, Tommy, I'm gonna need you on the back 9. Take off the first couple holes. I'm gonna take care of business. I know you just got done with your first match. Here we go. And like how they went as a team was insanely beautiful to watch. And I did like a Twitter post where I have like this weird theory that the Americans need to be more intimate. They need to, like, in the team room, they need to be way more loving. They need to be way more like European, because if you go take a look at
How do you do
these
that?
guys,
I mean, what do you expect these guys to do? How do you do that? How do you do that?
it's a
Well,
culture.
how do you
It's
force
culture.
people to become better friends? You can't. You can't. And the thing is, 4 years ago when they played, we whooped them, the Europeans, 19-9. 19-9
At
with
home,
the same
you
team,
know,
with 7 or 8 of the same players.
yeah. But
That I
Kenny,
understand why people are thinking in that whole mindset about America. They need to be a better team. They need to like each other more. Why? Like, first off, there's no way to quantify that. Like, how do you know? Like,
okay,
oh, have to be this type for us to win. That's a crock of bullshit. That's excuses.
okay, no,
What that.
here's what I'm thinking, all right? And you can quantify it because it's science, bitch. So there's
Friendship is science.
yes, in the Ryder Cup, what I'm trying to tell you, in the Ryder Cup, there's science involved to this friendship. There's a thing called
So 4
oxytocin.
years ago, this Ryder team, the European Ryder Cup team, wasn't friends when they lost
No, what
9.
you're not even letting me like tell you my argument.
Go ahead.
First of all,
Go ahead.
but what I'm saying is you need these edges in order to do what the Europeans did. And whatever I'm saying isn't meaning that the Americans don't have it. They just don't have enough of it. And when you are like, well, you got to like, when you take a look at how the Europeans are as a team, they are like constantly touching each other's shoulders. They are like hanging around each other. They are like brothers. And you are, as an American, shaking your head and you're like, that's not how I would go about it.
They
When
were
they're
brothers
doing
4
that,
years ago when they
they
lost
are
19-9.
Kenny. When
Played
they're
them 8
doing that,
all.
what are you saying? I can't even hear what you're saying when you.
Because they
What are
were
you saying?
lost 19-9 4 years ago. Were they not brotherly then?
I don't know. I wasn't paying as attention to it then, but I know for a fact that these Europeans were so involved in each other's like bubbles that they managed to like lean on each other. They didn't need to play for Europe. They didn't need to play for anything else than the person that was in the group with them. Like, to win an away Ryder Cup, there are 32 Europeans alive who have done that. I think there's like 34 in total that have done it or something. Like 37, whatever. Like, it is something that doesn't happen often. Like, what these guys did was absurdly impressive. And I'm just telling you, like, you just saw how Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood looked at each other. They were non-stop, like, connected, dude. Like, Bryson and Ben Griffin were just kind of like playing best ball like you would with a random partner that you have on a Saturday. You know,
How do
like,
you know that?
there wasn't,
Just because of what you
huh?
saw? Just because
Yeah,
visually
but then, yes, like, I if you go to the Twitter profiles for the Ryder Cup USA and Ryder Cup Europe, go scroll down there and tell me the difference in the two accounts. The one account has got hearts and love, and the guys like hugging each other and like celebrating, and it's like intimate, it's family, it's intense. Then you go to USA Twitter account, and for the team events, they photoshopping the golfers together. Like, it's a team event. How do you not have a photo of these two guys together that you're using? Like, the Ryder, like the the Europe one had those. Like, it's just like this. It's the small shit that makes a big difference, and it's what got these guys over the edge. Because you can't just go whoop ass, open a can of whoop up, in on foreign soil. You need everything to go right.
I think what went right is they outplayed the United States. The United States did not play bad. They did not play bad. Strokes gained, tee to green was basically even. Even Friday and Saturday was even. I think the numbers were very, very close. I don't think being friends with people makes you make more putts. I don't believe that.
I think it does,
that's
because
fine. I don't believe that. I
okay,
believe
this
they
is
did way better at that point in time. Do you really think the Americans don't want to win just because they're not lovey-dovey and they're not touching their friends? Do you think that means they don't want to win? That's what everyone thinks, but we don't know what the fuck's going on in that locker room. To me, the locker room seemed fine. It seemed like they were trying to play with each other. They did everything they wanted to do. When that shit went with Bryson and people were talking shit about Bryson, everybody had his back.
I'm not discrediting the USA Ryder Cup locker room at all. I'm saying, like you said, the locker room seemed fine.
Yeah.
We're not saying the locker room looked like the European locker room. And what I'm saying about how it helps you make putts is there's a chemical, a hormone called oxytocin. It happens when it helps you with contractions as a mom, and it also is stuff that it's a hormone that gets developed when you experience good connection, good social environments, when you have physical contact with people you care about. And these guys are just overdosing themselves on oxytocin. And oxytocin helps you have trust. It helps develop trust amongst people. It helps develop emotional bonds. And that's what you need in order to make a 17-footer you don't normally make, is you're making it for freaking Justin Rose. You're making it for Tommy Fleetwood. Like, these guys are like so tuned into each other. They trust each other.
Putts for their teammates?
They do.
Saying, like, what's the difference?
That, like, connection, the brotherhood. Like, you can see.
So you're guessing the connection is closer. Like, it looks like it. You're right. But we don't know their relationship.
No,
we don't know how everyone gets along. You're taking a guess based on what you've seen, and what I've seen. I don't see any problems with the team that the Americans had.
No, there's no problems. There's zero problems involved here because they're a good team.
Just because Europeans were better friends that they win the event. That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any, to me, like, all these people that are trying to find reasons why the United States lost in these, when it comes to preparation, when it comes to, like you said, friendship of the team, I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy. Of course, that's what everyone's going to see, because the fucking Europeans are rah-rah, they love each other. What really it came down to is they just made the better shots. They made more putts. And it's not like the Americans played horribly. The Americans played well the first couple of days. They maybe didn't make as many putts as they probably should have, but they're ball striking, plenty of birdie opportunities. Guys are shooting like 9 under and losing to, like, on the 16th hole after shooting 9 under as a team. What it came down to was the fact that the Europeans were just better. What we saw was not something you normally see. And then, of course, once the emotions sort of went down for the Europeans and stuff like that, and I don't know exactly how they did it, but it's just what happened. Now, if you want to say that that's because they're friends, okay. I mean, I can't argue against you, because there's no factual base about this. It's all just guessing. So I can't really argue against you about that. If you think that the Europeans play better because they're a tighter knit group, okay, cool. Like, there's no way for me to argue that, right? I can't.
And that's what's so hard about this situation,
because there's no factual basis. There's no scientific basis. There's no numbers there to show any of that. Now, you could be 100% right.
It's intangible, Kenny.
Could be 100% right, but there's no way to figure it out. Like, if you think that that's what the Americans need to have, how do we get that? Like, that's the whole point. Like, how do we get that?
Play DP World Tour golf for like 10 years so they can live.
These guys don't play DP World Tour golf.
They grew up in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they grew up in America.
No, they didn't. They all sound. They've got their own accents. Only Seb Straka grew up in America.
The Americans grew up in America. So because they are European, they automatically have this
Team
brotherhood
spirit.
love for each other.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sure.
It's different, Kenny. America's like the land of capitalism and like pursuing the American dream, which can be all on your own at times. You know, like
Look, what you're
this is
saying
why they're
could be
dominating
true.
singles all the
Could
time.
be true. Could be true. We'll never ever find out, ever.
Well, what we do know is that America always dominates in singles. I don't know if it's because they have to come back and the other team's not giving it their best, but they dominate singles when they're playing their own ball against one other dude. I think in general, the Europeans are just a better team golfer.
I think they're a better team. I think they play the pairs
Yeah.
better. But I don't think it's because of their love for each other. I think it's just they play better. They're more up to the moment in these situations.
Yeah.
And if you want to say that that's because of their friendship, you can say that. But there's no way that we can judge that to be truthful or not. You can't. You can't. Because the thing is, people are saying this about the lack of this that the Americans have, the lack of this that the Americans have compared to what the Europeans do. Well, how do the Americans get it? Like, what's the point of saying something like that when it's not something tangible that you could just try and grab and make happen? You can't. You
It's
can't.
leadership. It's like, I don't know how this team looked before Luke Donald got involved. I haven't been doing content in the golf space and being like that intense with everything for prior away Ryder Cups. But, you know, like you can just see it looks like these guys have been in the same room forever when they're together. You know what I'm saying? Like it's weird. I think you need to find a leader that knows how to like lead the men and also have I think Keegan was a great leader of men this week.
That's
But
it.
the rest of stuff that he did wasn't great, you know, and then it puts that in the shadows because he didn't allow himself to be the great leader and succeed.
Who are you talking about,
Like-
Keegan?
Keegan, yeah.
What do you mean? Why didn't he let himself become the leader he needed to be? Why?
Well, like it's being overshadowed by him sending Scotty and Henley out in the suboptimal pairing of the wrong tees. Like,
Oh yeah, he made plenty of mistakes.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
No doubt
yeah,
about that.
like what's being put in the shadows, like he was fantastic, dude. Like that team could have given up easy and rolled over. They did not.
They did not. So the problem I have with all these excuses is they're excuses. It's just the Europeans played better golf. They came up clutch more often than the Americans. And if you want to tie a narrative to that, that's fine. But I don't have to agree with it. Because in all honesty, in my opinion, I just think the Americans got mollywopped. And, and the thing is that the Americans played well. I think they played well enough to win most Ryder Cups out there, I think. But the problem was, I've never seen, Justin Rose gained, the strokes gained putting Justin Rose had was the same number if you added up second, third, fourth, and fifth in strokes gained putting for the week. Like, that's insane. That's insanity. That's literal.
But he can also do that. You know, we saw it at the Masters. Like he is a ninja, man. That man turns it on in the moment, like so fucking hard. So hard. Because he's old. He's 45 years old.
The Americans don't have that guy that can turn it on like that. No. Right? You can have people on the team that can do that. Like what we saw with Fleetwood, like what we saw with Rosie, like saw with Ron. The closest we got is Cam Young this year. That's the one thing that we're missing. And honestly, what it came down to is those top guys, right? You flip those top guys just a little bit, and it's a whole different thing, right? Keegan made mistakes. There were issues. But in all honesty, I think also what you're doing when you're saying that the Europeans are better friends, that they have a better system, you're downgrading what their accomplishments were on the golf course. Because what occurred on the golf course that these European golfers did was not normal. It was not natural. Like, it
So
was
what
some
is the
of the most
variable?
amazing golf I have ever seen from professionals ever in my life. And when you say that it's because they're good friends, it's because they have a good system, it's because of this, I personally think you're downgrading what actually happened and how
What
amazing European golfers played, because
what
that's what it
caused them
came
to play
down to.
like that?
Because they played like that. That's what happened.
But
That
why? Why did
you
they all
saw it.
play
It's
better than
visual.
they should have?
It's facts. It's visual. It's something that you can see. It's something that was recorded, right? You're not taking a guess saying that they're better friends than everybody else. In my opinion, saying that is taking a shot at the European team, because what they accomplished, what they did on that golf course, man to man, was some of the most amazing golf I have ever witnessed in my life. Ever. Ever. The way they played, the way they bared down and made shot after shot after shot after shot, it was incredible. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen on a golf course. And to me, if you start saying it's because they're friends, it's because they're more prepared, it's because of this, I think you're just downgrading what occurred, because what occurred was not normal. I don't care if they were the most prepared. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, this is a team that lost 19-9 the last time they were in America. Okay. They lost. It was the largest gap ever in the history of the Ryder Cup, just 4 years ago. Right? The Americans killed them, destroyed them. Same team, basically. So that's why I don't buy this. They're friends and it's cool. And that's why I think the golf that they played was sick. Now, you could try and come up with reasons why. I don't care about the reasons why. They don't matter to me. This is what happened. This is what occurred. They were amazing and they deserved to fucking win, no matter what the reasoning was. Because the Americans did not play as bad as the first two days of the scores came. They did not. They did not.
No. Like, it was that Rolex that Rolex hour on Sunday. I didn't realize how much fun I was having watching. It was cinema. That uninterrupted, unimpeded. It was like 90 minutes of the best freaking golf ever. We got that hour of commercial free. It was freaking amazing, Kenny. Like, back and forth, the roars. Everything was so cool.
The funny thing is, the guy that was the biggest disappointment probably was the best player on the American team yesterday, Russell Henley. I mean, if you look at the numbers and the way they played those matches, Russell was the best American golfer out there.
Yeah.
People are going to remember those putts on 17 and 18. It's what they're going to remember. And the reason why Shane had the reaction that he had, I mean, was because of how tough Shane had to play to just keep up with Russell. That match was sick. It was sick. They both played so exceptionally well. And for Russell to hit those two fucking putts at 17 and 18 short, I mean, that's what people are going to remember. It's a shame. But it was incredible. And I don't want to take anything away from the way the Europeans played their ball. And I think when you bring in stuff, it's basically excuses for the Americans to lose, is that they're not as friendly. They're not as close as a team. I think that's bullshit. I think that takes away from what the Europeans did on that golf course. What they did on that golf course was spectacular.
Yes, it was
spectacular. They deserved to win no matter what. I don't care if everybody hated each other. And if they go out there and play like that, it's unbelievable golf. It was spectacular. And they deserve all the credit that they deserve for beating our asses. And I think when you start making stuff like that, that's why I say it's lazy. I'm not saying you're lazy, Byron. I know that you're trying to make a point for the show, and it makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people think the way that you think. But that stuff sort of makes me angry. Like, it makes me angry because to me, you're trying to find a reason why, the Europeans did this when the reasoning was they were just amazing out there. They came up clutch. Every shot was so fucking good. I blame their game. I blame how good their game was.
Yes.
And that's why I think that they won. And I'm just
searching for what got the Europeans over the line, like blew the fucking lid off. That's what we're looking for. We can only make assumptions.
And that's really what we should focus on. I think.
We have hardly spoken about what America did wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like this show. I've watched a lot of stuff already. Lots of people are saying like what America did wrong. Like we've been talking about all the positives that the teams did, dude. Justin Thomas. I had super low hopes for him. That singles match that he had against Tommy Fleetwood, yes, it was a tired Tommy, but to make that putt on the last hole, like JT found his game, man. Like
no,
Americans in that singles match.
I mean, I think the Americans played good golf
so well. JT hasn't lost a singles match yet.
I think in a regular year, it would have been a lot closer, and maybe we would have came over and we would have won on Sunday. But this is not a normal year. Like what I saw the Europeans do is not normal. It was incredible, and they deserve every bit of credit that they're getting at this point in time. I think, and that's just
my go down, Kenny, as one of the greatest sports teams in the world.
Oh, definitely.
What they accomplished is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Like that team, because it's basically the same 11. It's the same 12 DNAs. They just have a twin switched out. Like that's also like experience, continuity. Like Rosen and Rory had more points won than the entire American team. That's important, like just to have that experience. And they had the same captain. I think America needs to do what they're doing here. Like,
yeah, but we don't have the guys that we normally have on the team that have been on. Spieth, he sucks. Reed, he's gone. Koepka,
I know. Yeah.
Like, can't have the continuity when dudes are sucking ass.
Exactly.
Like, there's nothing we can do about that.
Right. And that's where those guys help you get off to faster starts, and it's whatever. But it was awesome. I loved every single minute.
The fans, real quick. The fans are definitely an issue when it comes down to it. In my opinion, when it comes to the fans and what we saw, yes, the New York crowd went overboard, right? They went overboard. But it was sort of like the perfect confluence of everything that can go wrong to make what happened happen. I mean, first off, there's a little bit of blame with Rory and Shane. Very small. Very, very small. But there's a little bit of blame there because, I mean, they keep saying they Rory and Shane, they want it. Rory, especially afterwards, said it was a disgrace, blah, blah. Well, he's the one that's doing the half-fake fuck you, you're cool, in the middle of the round, flicking people off in the middle of a match. Now, here's the thing. At some point in time, people are going to say shit, and it's going to cross the line, and you're going to have to defend yourself. And I think that's where Rory and them ended up happening. Like, they're men. Like, when all this shit is being thrown at you, a lot of the times, you're going to have to say something. It's a man thing. I get it. I have no problem with that. But the thing is, what that does is that's going to cause a downhill trend of more people talking shit. That's just the way it is. Okay? At some point in time, you're going to have to stand up for yourself, and you got to do what they did. Okay? You got to, right? But here's the thing. At other events, it's not like this is like the first time this has happened. I mean, maybe to the extent, but even in Europe, there's been issues. There were issues, but no one heard about it with Koepka and DJ and all the Europeans talking about their wives. A lot of foul mouth stuff in previous Ryder Cups about Koepka's wife, about DJ's wife, for whatever reason you want to come up with, right? The reason why we didn't hear anything about that is because Koepka and DJ didn't respond. Right. They didn't say anything. They didn't egg it on even more. And those two, they used it to their advantage, but they egged it on. They did. So a little bit of the blame very small. Trust me, guys, very, very small. But a little bit of that blame goes to them. Next, it's the booze, right? The thing is, when you mix booze and like a good time, right, and you're having fun, it usually heightens the fun part, right? If you're drinking a lot and you're having a horrible time, it usually brings the bad part of alcohol, where anger, disrespect, fighting. The American team didn't give the fans anything to root for, especially that Saturday. And so that Saturday, when everyone's drinking, everyone's hammered, and they have nothing to cheer for, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. So a lot of the blame goes with the American players. The majority of the blame goes with the fans. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to these fans, first off, it's in the Northeast. Look, there's no disrespect to the people in New York, no disrespect to the people in New England and Boston. But, you know, the two worst home Ryder Cups with people going overboard have been Bethpage and Brookline, right? Those have been like the biggest problems. That's just that area of the country, they take their sports a little bit different than the rest. And that's why they're such great fans. But that can also lead to, of course, with the booze, some bad stuff happening. And those are not the nicest fans in the world, right? When it comes down to it over there. Now, you also throw in the fact that since COVID, there has been a humongous growth in the game of golf. Okay. Not only from playing, also from watching, also from going to events live. So we're getting a lot of new fans who are fans of traditional sport, baseball, football, where, you know, talking shit and doing all this shit. It's a normal every Sunday type of occurrence, right? That's part of what you expect as a fan, right? In these traditional sports. Now that there's been an influx of more of these fans who are becoming golf fans, you know, you get sort of, they don't understand what should and should not happen. I don't think there's a fix. I think what Rory said was good. Just, you know, warn your fans beforehand. And I'm sure the fans in Ireland will be fine, but there's going to be a couple that are going to be fucking assholes. That's everywhere. Yeah. It doesn't matter, especially if there's going to be booze. But I think, you know, we got to give a little bit of a break to these fans because a lot of them are new. There's a good amount of new fans out there that don't know the etiquette. And like I said, there's been an explosion in golf, and they're bringing that traditional fanness to the game. Also the booze, also the Americans not playing well. It was the perfect storm.
Yeah,
that's
and
what
most of these people felt like they were in the third and fourth quarter of a Jets-Giants game. Like, they've been in a situation like when you are actively trying to boo the opposition and not cheer louder for your own team, you're a Jets or a Giants fan.
Like, I mean, booing is fun. Fuck you.
It's fine because you can do that in football because you have another team
after
to
the
boo.
fan.
But when you are at a golf tournament and you have your team is still like there and you can cheer for them to succeed, and you are like going after the opposition's wives, like while the wives are standing right there. That is coward. Like, that is cowardly. That is so small dick energy, buddy. Like,
that's what happens when you're losing and you have no hope.
And when you are a loser
you're rooting for,
like,
and the team you're rooting for sucks balls. And they're really not playing up to, or at least that's what you think. They're really just getting beat is what was going on. But every single time you're watching it, the Americans did a good shot, and then the Europeans hit one closer. The Americans make a big putt, and the Europeans stuff one down in their face. I mean, that to continually happen over and over and over and over again, that's going to bring out the negativity a lot more. And the thing is, that negativity, the thing is, like, for Rory and for Shane, it could have went the opposite way. right? Because we still want a home field advantage, right? We still want that. The fuck you, Rory is fine. That's fine. Chanting "fuck you, Rory," that's fine. Rory went back at him, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, that's sort of what you want as a fan. You want to distract them from what their main point of view is. Now, did it work on this? No. It actually made it the exact opposite.
It could have been the difference
but
maker,
that's not
Kenny.
normal. Again, the Europeans did a lot of things that weren't normal. Usually when the fans get in people's heads, right, they get in their heads and it affects their game, right, a lot of the time. It did the total opposite for Rory and Shane.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose that home field advantage, right? You could be a dick. That's fun. Just don't do anything in their swing and don't throw, try to avoid the talk about the family, right? That's it.
Don't try to avoid it. Just avoid it. It's simple. It's fucking simple.
Those are the only two rules that they should have.
Yes.
In my opinion. I think everything else is fine. And I think everything else is fine. I think I do personally. Because you want a home field advantage. And that's what you want the home crowd there for.
Yes. But you want fans, not obstacles.
Yes. But I don't want it. I don't think it should affect the way they go about it in the future because the fans are important.
Yeah. But when Justin Thomas and Cameron Young is telling the crowd to stop what they're doing so that the guys can pipe, that's how do you expect them to win that match?
You shouldn't
You're going against your own fans because they're behaving like a bunch of idiots. Like, you're not being a good fan. Like you're being the worst fan. At that point in time,
they think they are because they're trying to fuck heroes. That's what they're trying to do.
It's loser mentality. It's Giants.
They're being fans of the American team. They just did it in the wrong way.
Yep. Amen. So, other than that, I loved it. It was great. What an awesome week of golf. Very sad. Caden was watching me on the couch. He's like, "This is like the last time you're going to see these guys for a while, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like watching views go down. I'm watching like Patreon people leave. It's just like, this is the time of the year. It just happens. So we appreciate every single one of you that's made it this far into the show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We love you guys lots. I'll give you some of that Euro touchy-feely stuff that Kenny's not a big fan of and tell you guys that I appreciate the shit out of you. I love you. If you were right here right now, I'd give you a big hug. So that's coming from my side of the world. Kenny also appreciates you deep down there, I believe. He is showing his appreciation to you by taking an edible now. So that will pay its dividends here shortly. Kenny, anything else you want to chat to me about before we get into the Sanderson Farms?
No, let's get to the Sanderson Farms. We're back live. I think 6 in the next 8 weeks. We are live. The PGA Tour heads to Mississippi for the Sanderson Farms Championship from the Country Club of Jackson. The Country Club of Jackson has hosted this event for the last, 9 years? And the 9 winners have been like wildly different, right? Especially off the tee. You got Ryan Moore, Peter Malnati, who plotted their way through the course, barely hitting at like 260, 275 out there, right? Actually, they both averaged less than 270 off the tee in their wins. You got Nick Taylor, Cody Gribble. They hit driver off the tee a bit more, averaged about 295 off the tee. I think Taylor did. Gribble was around 300, 310. Cameron Champ, Munoz, both bomb and gouge their way. Champ was 334 off the tee. Munoz was 315. Sergio was amazing tee to green when he won here. Burns, 2021, amazing tee to green. Last year, Mac Hughes, a couple years ago, Mac Hughes' short game was crazy, insane. He used that to win the event. Kevin Yu last year, bomb and gouge, right? There's different ways to go about that. Lately, we've seen more of the bomb and gouge technique, but of course, Mac Hughes sort of defies that a couple of years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that's been fairly similar between the golfers is solid iron play. I think Gribble and maybe you were the only two that were outside the top 10 in greens and regulation for the week. Also, I think 6 of the last 9 winners were inside the top 20 in putts per green in regulation, and they were strong in strokes gained putting. So what does this really tell us? Not fucking much, right? Right. Basically, any type of golfer whose putter can get hot can win this event, which makes it more difficult to narrow down the playing field, right? This course could be suited for aggressive players since the rough is short and there aren't too many problems off the tee box. Now hitting at 350 off the tee box, off the tee isn't going to help if your wedge game sucks. But distance off the tee could come in handy for the winner this week. It's not out of the realm of possibility that a short hitter can contend to be seen with Armour, Malnati. Mac isn't very long. Hadman one year. It was Taylor one year. He's not the longest guy. Poor putters. Team No Putt has also fared well here. The greens seem really easy to putt on. So it's another thing. Team No Putt, we're back on it this week. So the Country Club of Jackson, 7,000. What's up?
Put the word out. We're back on the streets, baby.
Yep, the Country Club of Jackson, 7,450-yard par 72. The traditional par, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. The par 5s are not automatic birdie holes. The birdie rate on the 4 par 5s have been, bottom 15 for courses on tour the past couple of years here. 3 of them are long, like 584, 590, and 615. And the par 5 11th is 554, but has a huge pond in front of the green. So, you hit it into the rough. You got to make a decision right there. Now, with the length and talent of many of the young golfers, someone's going to go off on a par 5. But in my opinion, this is one of the rare courses of the 4 par 5 where scoring really needs to come from the par 4s. Right, 7 of the 10 par 4s are under 450 yards, including the drivable par 4 15th hole. Golfers are going to need to take advantage of these short par 4s to contend. 2 of the par 3s on the course are over 200 yards, and par will be a good score on all the par 3s. Off the tee, golfers are going to see slightly above average with tree-lined fairways with bunkers, garden, landing zones. The trees aren't dense, so if golfers hit it into the trees, it's possible that they still have a shot onto the green. There aren't too many dog legs, and the Bermuda rough is only around 2.5 inches tall. And that Bermuda rough can be, hard to hit out of no matter the length. So hitting in a fairway would be beneficial, but the course is a lot of shorter par 4s. So if golfers can hit it far off the tee, they can break out wedge from the rough and make approaches easier from the rough. Also, scoring from the rough here has been exceptionally easy compared to other courses. As stated before, it's going to be a wide array of strategies from the tee box. Outside of the par 5s, the course is short enough we're going to see some hitting less than driver off the tee. But since there aren't too many dangers around the fairway, we'll see a fair amount of golfers using a bomb and gouge technique. On approach shots, golfers will see average size elevated greens with bunkers, water, and runoff areas guarding the putting surface. The greens have a bit of slope and undulation, and missing the greens will lead to tough up and downs from below the hole or from the greenside bunkers. The greens are Bermuda grass, stip meter rating of around 12. Even if the weather's dry, this is another reason why this course gets the easy rep. Even if the weather's dry, the greens should still be receptive. The course superintendent has been known to water the greens before each wave and each round. What are you looking for in golf this week?
I'm not going to give you much time to breathe here, Kenny. I think you nailed pretty much everything you mentioned there. Statistically, we're looking at a slight bump in driving distance over tour average and a slight bump in putting. If you take a look at driving accuracy, missing 7% of the fairways, you're going to be hitting half your shots from the rough. So looking at strokes gained out of the rough on approach makes a big difference. And as guys like Mackenzie Hughes are great out of the rough from both 150 and in and 150 and out. And as a result, you find them having success at places like this. So, there's a bit of nuance there, but it's a pretty much bomb and gouge type situation. Team No Putt. There's no one specific golfer that really thrives here, like you mentioned. So I think anyone and everyone is on the table, and who wins may not even have qualified for the field yet. So we'll see. Shall we get into our bets for this week?
Sounds good. My first bet's going to be Michael Thory-Brunson, 20-1. 8 places. Gained with his irons off the tee in 5 of his last 6. 3 top 25s in his last 5 events, including a 13th a couple of weeks ago and a 4th at the Rocket. Makes birdies in bunches. Bermuda is his best putting surface so far in his career. Finished 8th here last year. Next, it's going to be Min Woo, 40-1 with 3 places. Been grinding across the pond with a 5th and 11th on the DP World Tour in the last month. right? Been getting work in, and he's not been bullshitting. Like a lot of these guys, they might have played Silverado, but what else have they done? This guy's been out there grinding, doing his thing, being across the pond, competing, contending, right? Out there. He can sort of give you that Cam Champ sort of narrative where he can just pound it out there and you hope and pray his wedge game is good enough where he gets you enough birdies. But the man can make some birdies. He can hit it far out there. I like him. 40-1, 3 places.
I have a question for you. Oh,
yes.
You went 3 places. I was going to say, because I'm seeing 25. I did not hear you say 3.
Places.
I was going to say, Jesus Christ, you got a really good number there. So
no, I don't get good numbers. I don't get good numbers.
I was going to say, would you bet it at 25, but avoid me now.
Yeah. 3 places. I got him. My next, it's going to be Mac Hughes. I'll talk about him more later on in the DFS portion, but I am betting him 60-1 with 3 places. Okay. And right now I only have 4 bets. My last one is Ben Cole's 5, 80-1, 8 places. Gained 22.5 strokes with his irons in last 4 bets. 22.5 strokes with his irons in the last 4 events he's played. So he's averaging more than 5 strokes with his approaches in his last 4. I'm talking and it's not like one outlier where he gained 10.5 strokes. It's 6.5, 6.5, 5.5, 5.5, right? He's been sick with his irons. Ball striking has been borderline elite if you compare it to this field. Putting has been horrible. Horrible.
Team no putt, baby.
Team no putt, baby. Team no putt. So the 4 bets I have right now going to be Thorpe, 20-1, 8 places. Minwoo, 40-1, 3 places. Mac Hughes, 60-1, 3 places. Ben Cole's 80-1, 8 places. I'll probably add 1 or 2 more. Just make sure you check my Twitter feed, my X feed at KendoVT Wednesday night. I'll have my full card out.
Cool. So I'll go ahead and chat about Mackenzie Hughes from my side. I'm also going to be going with him at 35-1. I've been a big fan of Mackenzie Hughes. He interacts with you on Twitter. If you send him a message about something, you'll reply to it. So he's actually really cool. From that perspective, he's won this tournament before. He played well here last year, and he played well the last time he teed it up at the Pro Call. So we've got literally course history, some good form, great course fit. He's exceptionally good with his long irons out of the rough, with the wedges out of the rough. Sorry, I think that's what you're going to find a lot of here. When you're mashing it down there to get it close to the green, you're going to miss the fairways. You got to stay out of the rough, hit your shit out the rough like he does. He does it well, and then he's nuclear with the putter. Any given week, he can gain 10 strokes putting. So that's my Mackenzie Hughes take. Rico Hoey as well, 33-1. I'm going with Rico. Changed that broomstick putter top 10 last week, and the putter started moving in the right direction. So we are starting to see.
I like Rico a lot, but 20-1 is crazy, right? What'd you get?
Yeah, I got a 33.
Okay. Any each way with that?
What's up?
Any each way with that?
Yeah, 6 places each way.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I was looking at him too, but it's in my book he's 20-1 with 8 places. I'm like,
yeah, no,
I can't do that.
So steep. But I love the 8 places at that price too, because at this point now he's a top 10 machine because of how solid his ball striking has been.
He's only had 1 top 10 in his last 5 events.
Right, but now that the putter isn't going to be hemorrhaging strokes off of him.
You know that he changed putters, and he only lost 0.1 strokes at Silverado. He changed to the belly. He changed to the belly putter at Silverado, the long putter. He only lost 0.1, which was the least amount he's ever lost.
Right. This is what it's like. Scotty Scheffler.
I really wanted to bet him. I just, on my book at 20-1, I just couldn't do it. So he's probably going to win.
I'll take it. I will take it.
Yeah. Good number.
So we'll see what he does. I think, it's exciting because he was losing as many strokes as he was gaining ball striking with the putter.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was
just
6,
going
7, 8
backwards.
Crazy, dude. So good things on the horizon for him. Looking forward to seeing what he can do. Let's see. Like you said, 33 is a nice number. You would have taken that. I have one more guy that I wanted to chat about. What was his name? It was Sami Välimäki, 60-1, chatting about him. I looked it up on Data Golf for the number one correlated course to this golf course, and it was Vedanta Vallarta. And we've seen Sammy Valimaki finish second to Jake Knapp in Mexico. It kind of makes sense, right? Bomb and gouge, just go out there, hit the big shots off the tee, and then make those putts. And Sammy's been, like you mentioned, Kenny, wasn't he your hustler foreplay of the week?
He's been he was like an alternate, I think. He was like
Alternate,
plan
yeah.
B.
He was sitting in the chair.
Yeah, he was plan B. But
okay.
yeah, he's been doing some work in the DP World Tour.
Yeah, so all of that going on there. Those are my three guys right now as well. We'll be doing a couple placement bets once I get my shit together tomorrow on Back Nine Bets, 12 Eastern, 12:15 Eastern. Now I'm in the daytime since we got baby. So that's what's going on in my world. Kenny, shall we get into some blood, sweat, and DFS tiers?
Sounds good.
In the 12K range, what I'm not even pulled up right now. We're a little rusty, little rusty. Not gonna lie to you. We only have Akshay in the 10K range, so monster 9K range. Let's go from Thor and up. What are we doing in the 95 and up range with Rasmus, Davis Thompson, Minwoo, and Kevin Yu?
I like Minwoo. We talked about him in the betting segment. I'm a fan of him. I think his length will help. I think the fact that he's been playing competitive golf and contending will help. I do like Minwoo a lot. You will be one of my higher. You will be in a lineup or two. Definitely. First cash game cornerstone is going to be Thorbjornsen. Bermuda's his best putting surface. Second in the field in birdie or better gained in the last 24 rounds. His iron game is strong. He's gained strokes with his irons and off the tee in 5 of his last 6. The guy's going to be a stud. I like Thorbjornsen as my first cash game cornerstone.
Yeah, I think he's going to be something I look at to monitor the ownership on Thor. He's going to be very, very highly owned, I would imagine, given the price tag. He's your cash game, right? Because
Thorbjornsen, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. I like Akshay, Kenny at 10-1. Sometimes what happens in the betting market can kind of like nudge you into the DFS market a little more encouragingly. I prefer Akshay being 10-1 versus 20-1, if that makes any sense. I'd rather take him at this price tag in DFS versus the actual outright favorite to win the tournament. Whereas $9,900 Kevin Yu, $9,800 Minwoo, we're literally going down in $100 increments. I think you can get a bit more value there from Akshay's side of things. So I like Akshay at the top. I mean, this dude is starting to find his groove again, and maybe we can find the putter, maybe we can't. It's Team No Putt week, though, so I think he's the option in that department for sure. What are your takes on the Ryder Cuppers? Got Rasmus and Nikolai both in the 9K range, fresh off a win in New York.
Yeah, Rasmus didn't really play, and had his he was driving a cart. I think they'll be fun. If you want to play, I'm not worried about that.
All righty. In the bottom of the 9K range, JT Post and Griot, Bridgman, and Rico Hoey. Kenny, I know you're obviously a fan of Rico. Chat to us about the other guys.
Yeah, Griot's going to be my second cash game cornerstone. Fourth last time out. Has had a good track record here. A couple of good solid finishes, a couple of top 15s. I think he's only missed one cut. He hasn't really missed many cuts leading up to this event throughout the whole season. So I'm looking for a little bit of safety there. And I think Rio's safe. Also, I'm a little biased. He's the reason why I won the GPP in Silverado with his last 3 holes. So, I got to give him a little bit of love. So Griot's going to be the second cash game cornerstone. Hoey's my third. Hoey's going to be my third cash game cornerstone. It's either going to be Hoey or Mac Hughes. I'm going Hoey right now. So that's going to be the guy that I'm going to go ahead and use as my third cash game cornerstone. We talked about him a bunch. His ball striking, elite, really, really strong.
Yeah.
Hopefully the long putter helps him. Like you said, like we said, only lost 0.1 strokes with his putter the last time out with the long putter. So hopefully he can get out there, still knock him close. and actually make a few putts. So the first three are going to be in this 9K range. Nice, simple. Going here. I'm not going to go into the 6K range probably at all.
I love it. I think it's going to be very important to kind of find your guys. I think I'm going to go single entries this week. Not going to be doing too many multi-entry situations. Kind of just find my core and go from there. Shout out Grio as well. When I was still photoshopping stuff and I had Grio cooking a chicken, Sanderson Farms, I took the logo and I put it on the grill and I put Grio's face there, and he somehow found it and retweeted it with like a laughing face. Like, it was one of my favorite moments on Twitter back when I was the Photoshop guy. Now AI has just completely taken over my creativity, but Grio is one of the best. He's the OG awesome dude. In the eights, Kenny, what are we doing? I see a Max Home at $8,400, a Mac Hansi Hughes over there at $8,700, and a Matt Wallace at $8,100. What are we doing with all of the Macs?
Yeah, Mac Hughes is going to be my hustle play of the week, but we'll see how popular he gets because he is ranked like 98th in my mind. All right, out of 150 whatever golfers. So you might turn the music on. Hustle play of the week is going to be Mac Hughes. The thing about Mac is the guy is super streaky. His stats look horrible, but tons of back-to-back or closely timed great finishes in his past. This past year, he finished 10th at Houston. The next time out he played, he finished 3rd at Heritage, right? 3 top 8s in 4 events beginning of last fall. 6th at Wells Fargo a couple of years ago, 7th at the Canadian 3 weeks later. 7th at Mayo, 2 falls ago. 2nd at RSM his next time out. He finished 7th at the Pro Tour. The guy's super streaky. And I think I sort of want the same type of run. And of course, he's also won here before, and he had a top 10 here last year. So he is going to be my hustle play of the week. He is also my 3rd bet at 60-1 with 3 places. I do like Max Homa at 8,400. I think the price is great for a guy, who's looks like he's getting closer to where he was. He's not close, but getting better is what it seems like. And you play for the upside. You try and be early at Homa. You might want to get up early for that. Get Eric Higo at $8,200. Really good finish his last time out. He can hit it pretty far out there. One good thing is he can actually putt. He does well on the par 5s. I like Higo a lot here in the 8K range.
I think this is the place to probably play Cam Champ at $8,800 rather than bet him at 40-1. I cannot do that. I'll take $8,800 though. I mean, he's won this tournament before, and if you're looking at literally driver and putter, those are the only 2 areas he gains strokes in. So you're going to be hoping and wishing, chipping and ironing. But again, he hits it so far that irons become chips and off we go. So that's what Cam Champ can do you for at $8,800. Love Max Homa. Going to monitor your ownership because you can be a popular name. And then a gross name at $8,000 that the guy guaranteed by Friday afternoon, you'll be swearing at him on the TV as he mopes around there. Bo Hassler at $8,000. I think he's been doing some good shit lately. And I'm just waiting for some disappointment from him. So I think he's a great option in that situation. When it comes to guys that are in the 7K range, I'll start off with my guy Jesper Svensson. He's a perfect fit for this golf course. Tons of distance off the tee, great putter. Lord help him when it comes to everything else. So again, we're just diving into stats that make sense for this specific course. They can pop. You can gain tons of strokes with your putter at this golf course. Jesper's definitely capable of that. Benny On, $7,600. If you think about what he's got off the tee, tons and tons of distance. Give me him. Taylor Moore, $7,500. Also, very aggressive off the tee. Gives you a lot of juice when it comes to the putter when he's playing well. Give me Taylor Moore, and I'll let you go from there.
I like your countryman, Bazinu. You don't really necessarily think that this would be a course suited for him, but the thing about it is when it comes to his iron game, his best ranges is 125 to 175. Those are where the majority of all your approaches are going to come from here, and he is very good in those ranges. We saw Mac Hughes win this event. Very similar type game with those 2 guys. So I like Bezuidenhout. I like Whaley and Cash. He's not one of my cash game cornerstones, but he's in my cash lineup. The guy makes every cut. I think he's made 6 in a row here. I think he's made like 8 or 9 in a row on tour. Again,
The Valero Texas Open in April was Vince Whaley's last missed cut.
The guy, and he makes every cut here. Again, like in the fall, you look for a little bit more safety, I think, because you could find guys like this, like a Griot at 9,300, who makes a shit ton of cuts, like a Whaley at 7,800, who just makes a shit ton of cuts, right? And so he catches my eye when it comes to cash. Patrick Fishburne's had a couple of nice starts, in the last 2 months. Again, very, very good at par fours. That's the big thing. He's 4th in par 4 efficiency from 400 to 450 yards. You're seeing a shit ton of par 4s in that range. Strokes gained par 4 scoring. He's 4th in this field in the last 24 rounds. I do like Fishburne. My final cash game cornerstone is going to be Lanto Griffin, another guy who's made 4 of his last 5 cuts. Really good form at Silverado. I think he's made 3 of his 4 cuts here at Sanderson Farms. So I like the way he's playing. He's nice and cheap. I think he makes for a good final last guy in when it comes to cash. So my cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Thorbjornsen at 9,500, Griot at 93, Hoey at 9,000, and Lanto at $7,000. This still leaves over 15,000 to fill it out. And right now I have Valimaki and Whaley in there. We'll see if those guys end up staying. But again, I do like Valimaki like you do. In this range at 7,400. Lee Hodges at 7,300. Again, good course history here. Iron game, really, really strong. Wedge game, 125 to 175. Really strong, really good on par 5s and on par 4s. So I do like, I wish his form was a little bit better, but this is the fall. The talent is not as strong as your normal regular season events. So I'm hoping that it can come back a little bit with some decent form. But I do like Lee Hodges. Mac Meisner, 7,300. Again, pretty good performances here recently. A couple of top 10s, top 15s in his last 5 or 6 events. EVR, 7,200. Again, more work across the pond. I like guys who have been putting in the work, who have been, having competitive rounds so far already in the fall. He's played 2 or 3 events across the pond already. I like EVR down here at 7,200.
And EVR, if you think about Bermuda putting, he did wonderful stuff at the Cognizant. I think tons of, driving distance. He's long. He's a strong dude. So I like that a lot. $7,300 Matt Kuchar. If you think about what he's been up to the last little while, it makes tons of sense. John Deere Classic, he's been playing nicely over there. If you take a look at what he got up to at the Pro Tour, 13th over there. So all places that have a lot of wedges. He doesn't have tons of distance off the tee, but if you get him into wedge range, he will hustle your ass all day long from that range. I think he is the best at strokes gained from 100 to 125 in the field. And that, in the PGA Tour. Like if you go to the website and you pull up that tab, he's there at the top. Then it's Scotty Scheffler, I think. So it's just crazy to see Kuchar, and this is a perfect golf course for him. Taylor Montgomery, great wedge player and great putter. So he's perfect for the situation, can make lots of birdies and still finish 30th. That's what Taylor Montgomery is going to give you. And then Matty Schmidt at $7,400. Nukes off the tee, strokes gained putting. Off we go. Bob's your uncle. Let's get in the 6K range here. Kenny, we got Quade Cummings and Carson Young sitting in the $6,800 ranges. You got your boy Ben Coles, the new Scotty Scheffler of the world.
You got a couple of team no putt guys I like here. Ben Coles at 6,800, 6,900. We talked about him. Also David Skins down here at 6,800 as well. Ben is actually first in strokes gained approach and third in strokes gained tee to green in the last 24 rounds, 125th in putt. right? Again, Team No Putt when it comes to Ben Coles. You look at David Skin, he's 9th in strokes gain approach and 14th in strokes gain tee to green in the last 24 rounds, 115th, I think, when it comes to putting. Just a couple of guys that are on Team No Putt that I'm going to like in the 6K range. I also like Norlander. Really good history here. A lot of top finishes. He's another guy that you can put in. Luke List, former winner here, played well here last year. I can get behind Luke List down at that price. All right, that's basically about it. Matthew Naismith at 6,400. Again, another course history guy whose form hasn't really been the best. But when you're down to 6,400, there's not going to be that many things that catch your eye about a golfer. And so you look at his course history. I like Matt Naismith. If I'm going to go down that low, I doubt it. But if I am, he's somebody that I'll take a peek at.
Some Brand Snedeker's never hurt anybody down at $6,500 either. He's one of these dudes that just finished really nicely. T19 at the Pro Call, putting well. So, we can expect him to do it. Maybe he's a bit gassed after the Tom Hoagie in this field is $6,600. It's been bad, but I mean
on 63.
That's insane. What are we?
I mean, Milan is a winner.
Yeah.
His form, horrible.
Scrappy guy. I think he's
horrible.
Yeah, do your
but
thing.
From a name value, you see these guys in this field, Hoagie and Pavon, at 63 and 66. You're like, if I was making 150 lineups, they'd be in some.
Yes. Yeah.
If I was making 150 lineups, Pavon and Hoagie would be in some. I make 3. So
yeah,
I doubt they're going to be in my lineups. I doubt they're going to be.
But they could be in yours. And that's why you guys watch this show. So we appreciate you all for getting on board with us in the fall swing. Recap of the Ryder Cup, recap of whatever else we recapped, and a preview of this week's Sanderson Farms. So we appreciate you guys for doing all of that. Hit us up in the comments. Let me know who's going to finish first this week. The first person to tell us that will get a free month into the Model Maniac Patreon. I have no idea who won last week. We will do a double announcement for the next week over there for you guys. If you want to get in there, link in the description below. Use code FGD50. Get yourself 50% off all my tools, all my spreadsheets, and access to my Discord. I'll see you guys in there. And then just follow me on Twitter at the Model Maniac. Kendo VT. Kendo _ V2. Get us
you can find me. It's not Kendo _ It's
just
find
Kendo
me
VT.
At Kendo VT. I'll have my final card out there. Any type of info that I didn't put on the show that I'll release on X. We're in the fall swing. We appreciate you guys listening. I know it's football season's all full and bore, but we still got golf, and it should be fun. It's the fall swing. These guys are playing for their cards. It means something. Let's win some motherfucking money, Degen Nation.